direct from the web, it's Billy Masters Live. And now, please welcome your host, Billy Masters.
Hold on. Show number 61. Can you believe it? You know, you'd think that we would get it smooth, but we didn't. Yeah, we're here. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Billy Masters Live. What is today? Put it up there, please. I beg of you. Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, October 27th. And you know what that means? 1 week left until the entire world ends, or at least changes the way it is. Let's hope it's changing for the better. But God only knows. Prepare yourself for anything, people. Get out and vote. Oh, do I have it here? Look at this. So I showed this last week to Gloria Allred. I already voted. So get out, vote. If you can vote early, go vote early. If I don't know if I would trust mailing in a ballot right now. You know, it's a week. You know, if you're in the same city, maybe. But, you know, go to your polling office. If you're in the city and you've got a mail-in ballot, go. They've got those boxes, not the boxes that are on fire. Don't drop your ballot in a flaming ballot box. Put it in one that's not on fire. I have a friend that just went and dropped off his ballot at the office of the county of electors, something. So go do that. But just make sure you vote. I'm going to be really interested in what happens. I have my thoughts. I have my fears, and we shall see. Next Tuesday for voting day, I have an idea for the show. I booked all around voting day. I was thinking of not doing a show because I thought to myself, you shouldn't be watching Billy Masters Live. You should be getting out and vote. Then I thought to myself, once you vote, you're sitting home and going, now what? So, you know, I should give you something to do. So I think we will be having a show. I have an idea for the show who I think would be the perfect person. So we shall see. But you know who is the perfect person? Thursday. Did I mention that this is Hot Guy Week on Billy Masters Live? So, of course, today we have my good friend, Christopher Sieber, star of stage and screen, although mostly stage. And I've got so much to talk to him about. But on Thursday, we have, I don't know how I get these bookings. Gilles Marini, you know, from the Sex and the City movie, you know, there you go. This is how he wants to be billed. The naked guy from the Sex and the City movie. But he's been in a lot of things. He's done some very good work, and God love him. Let me just tell you something. When you're that good looking, the bar is very low. You don't expect that they can say too much. So the fact that he's done work and done well, and I think it's been 15 years since the first Sex and the City movie. Anyway, Gilles is going to be here, my good friend. And we are kind of friends. So I open traditionally with a personal anecdote, and I wasn't going to because I've got so much to talk to Christopher about. But on my Facebook page this morning came up this photo, and it's Jennifer Lewis and I going into Divas Simply Singing in Los Angeles. And if you don't know, Divas Simply Singing is this annual benefit that is the longest running consecutive AIDS benefit ever. Like every year for, I think last year was 25 or the year before was 25. I don't know. So Cheryl Lee Ralph started it. And I have performed many times with Jennifer Lewis. I have been her pianist. I've sung with her. God help us. We were backstage. You know, the only thing that makes me jealous about that picture is I'm not the one in the purple boa. And of course, this one where we were walking in, needless to say, Jennifer stopped at makeup before walking in. So this clip showed up on Facebook, And I'm not in it. I took this video, and it's Cheryl and Jennifer, and Cheryl Lee Ralph and Jennifer Lewis had been friends since they auditioned for Dreamgirls, and Jennifer was the Effie for the second workshop of Dreamgirls, and they've been friends ever since. And they like to tease each other as good friends do. And I took this clip, and it just makes me laugh. So take a look at this.
See the two of us go through. If I needed a kidney, she would think about it.
That's my friend Kenny laughing in the background because we go to this every year. So anyway, just happy to think of Cheryl Lee and Jennifer. Cheryl is in Canada shooting a Christmas movie. So it's got to be like for Hallmark because, you know, they can shoot a movie in a week and then have it on next week. So I bet it's for Hallmark, but she's going to be back here because there is going to be a virtual Divas Simply Singing. I think it's the first week of December. So she will be back here and we'll be doing something with her. Anyway, that's it. Let's get to the show. I had so much fun last night researching Christopher Sieber because when you're friends with somebody, you kind of think, oh, yeah, I don't even have to look into him. I know everything about Christopher Sieber. I have more questions than answers after last night's research. I found things that he was in that I saw that I didn't know he was in. There are things he did that I never saw. I mean, it's just a staggering amount of work. And of course, you'll know him from television, from It's All Relative, which was a landmark series. But Broadway, of course, Shrek the Musical, Spamalot, like 17 times in and out of Chicago. He was about to open in Company when the pandemic hit. He's been here already before for Broadway Bears. So I'm just telling you now, I'm not showing the Broadway Bears footage. So don't expect to see it. You're going to see some pictures from it, but you're not going to see the footage. I've got different footage. And I've got my good friend. I'm so glad to have him here, Mr. Christopher Sieber.
Hi, Billy. Hi, can you hear me okay?
Christopher, I hear you fine.
Okay, great, because I got this fancy new mic, you know. Ooh, look at that.
Oh, my God, look at you. Are you on your island?
I am not. No, we moved to the mainland now. We are now in our land house, but it's still on the lake, and it's a very nice. And this is kind of just a setup studio because we really haven't figured that out. That beeping noise in the background, by the way, is my parrot. She was raised in New York City and she's out in the country. So that's a truck backing up for deliveries right now. That
can she do an alarm? Does she take requests?
She does the alarm. Well, back in the day when cell phones were, I mean, you'll hear that she wants to be part of the conversation. But what will happen? Like the older cell phones, you know, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they were all simple rings. They were all simple like cell phone rings. And she figured out if we were in another room, we would come running if our phones rang. So she copied the phone ring and we would come running in and there was nobody on our phone. She was like, you did that? Oh my God. So anyway, hopefully she'll be quiet.
Now, what is the bird's name?
Her name is Koi Koi. She's an African gray. She's 21 years old, I think. Ooh.
And how long do they live?
70.
Oh my God,
I know. Yeah. That's she's a bit of a she's a pain in the ass sometimes. But
so why did you leave the island? Was it?
Oh well, because Billy, they shut down the water because we have city water, if you can believe it. It goes under the lake, but they shut it down. It's seasonal water, so we can be out there, but we just don't have water. But you need water, so
you do need water.
Yeah.
Here is a photo. Where was this photo? Hold on. I've got so many photos of you.
I heard you have like so many things too. You were researching.
There are things that I didn't know you did, but this is you on
that's
your
me.
lake.
Yeah, that's July 4th, obviously. Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And you're just falling. Somebody got a great photo of it.
I believe that was my friend Stephen Mosher, my friend Stephen Mosher did that. He took that photo.
It's great. Perfect.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny?
It's so perfect. You know, again, you think you know somebody and you're like, oh, I don't even have to research him. But Okay, let's see. Where do I? Oh, first off, let's start. What is your full name, please?
Christopher Sieber. Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Haas and Pfeffer Corporate. You know what? What's a great name to have in the 70s, when Laverne and Shirley is at the hot, so you're Laverne. So if anybody ever found out in elementary school that my middle name was Laverne, I would have been shoved in a locker and a trash can every single day. So I went around I would just say L. Sieber, or I said it was Lee because I didn't want anybody to say, Laverne and Shirley.
And it is L-U. It is Laverne.
Love, right? Like love, Laverne, yes.
All right. And is there any family significance to this?
It's
name?
my grandfather on my mother's side. My grandfather's name. Okay. He was a Swedish Laverne. So
well, I'm so glad I didn't make any jokes because that's a nice story.
It's fine. Now I embrace it. I think.
Do you really?
Well, I think it's kind of who's called Laverne. No one.
Nobody.
Except me. Well, I know another Laverne, but
not the same. And we, I knew this, but our birthdays are 5 days apart. Actually, the same year, 5 days apart.
Yeah.
I did not know you went to AMDA.
Yes.
I went to ADA. I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. You were American Musical.
Downtown. You went downtown.
Yes, I did on Madison. Yes.
Yeah.
And at the time, those two schools, there was not much interaction, but I know since then they've done a lot of stuff together.
Really?
And and also your school is much more well-rounded because they did musicals and theater and plays.
Yeah. Yeah, now they actually have two facilities. I believe they have one. Well, I know they have one in Los Angeles, which is fantastic, and they have one. Yeah. They moved. I think it was the old Alvin Ailey building, not the new one, but the old one, and they have so much more space. And this new building that they have in New York City on like West 60th Street or something. And they have so much room because they have about 5 floors and the studios are humongous. And
wow.
Yeah, I mean, when AMDA, when I went, was at the Ansonia, which is on 73rd and Broadway, the amazing Ansonia building, incredible.
Yeah, which is a great building to go to.
Yeah, and the school then was in the former ballrooms, divided up into little classrooms there. Yeah, the studios weren't very large, and also the class sizes were so much smaller. I think I had 17 people in my class, my graduating class or something. So yeah,
I think I had 15. Oh, and we should say just off the top, the big aside from the fact we just wanted to hang out.
Yeah,
you're here because Christopher has a special.
Oh, it's gonna be so good, you guys.
November 5th.
November 5th.
Christopher Sieber Special. We have the
2 days after the election. So if you want a distraction and you want to just get away, and I'll make you laugh, I promise. I'll make you laugh.
You will.
Or I won't. I may crash and burn. But I was doing comedy for no one. Yes, it's events.broadwayworld.com. And it's November.
If you click on the Birdland link, but it's on the homepage, but you'll find it.
Yes. And it's great. It's really funny. I did it. I'm not there. It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of it showed again. But I'm not the kind of person that does first of all, I don't really like cabaret, so my show is.
You don't do much.
I don't, not at all, because I don't like what I've seen, and I don't like to save the world with musical theater songs, and because it's also to me it's easy to be sing a ballad and to be maudlin and to and watch me emote.
Indulgent.
Indulgent and watch me emote, and I don't go for that because I think it's too easy, but it's also I think it's more fun to be stupid and do really weird. It's like, well, you do stand up, so when you do stand up comedy, you you do the thing that people least expect you to do, and so it
is harder.
Oh, it is totally because you're constantly thinking of something else to kind of top the thing that you just did or something. And so my whole show is kind of throwback in a way to a 1970s television special in a way. I can't say much about it, but
Billy Stritch is playing for you.
Billy Stritch, my friend, and he's incredible, and he's playing the amazing Billy Stritch, who works with Liza Minnelli constantly. And so there's stories. There's lots of really fun stories about things that have been going on in the Broadway community.
There could be surprise guests that we cannot name.
We have I will just say that the audience is filled with stars, filled. famous people left and right. So many stars.
All right.
Yeah.
And they're all your friends. That's the other thing. You are
very
so
close
well
friends.
liked.
They're very close friends. All of them, even the ones that are dead.
Yeah, well, of course, those are our best friends, frankly. So now, going back to school, speaking of goofy, I remember when I met you, and I did not know I'd actually seen you on stage before I met you, which we'll get to. But you were like this big, tall, leading man type, but so goofy, goofy, so funny. Like, and I think we talked about this before, a character actor trapped in a leading man's body.
Yeah. Yeah,
and you really had to break out of that to really have this enormous career you have had.
I've been very lucky.
No, I don't. I think that really you've worked. I mean, I really think that it took a while for them to catch up with, he's more, like we said about Gilles Marini. The expectations are so low. You're good looking, good. Stand there. If you can do anything past that, we're shocked.
Yeah. Well, I also don't take myself seriously at all.
No, you never.
I never buy into that. Oh, well, yes, I'm very good looking, and of course, of course, now we're all, I'm just trying to stay a weight, You know what I mean? I'm not fat. I'm fatter, but I'm not skinny. So I'm just like, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna try as hard as I can.
Does that bother you?
What?
Do you think about that, about weight? Because it's funny, your partner is a gourmet chef, like the most amazing, like a chef that like grows his own ingredients.
Oh yeah.
And had been an actor, but is now a chef. So I mean, he must constantly be cooking. Yeah,
well, the thing is, he works for Wendy Williams. Actually, he's the food stylist, and he does all the celebrity chefs. He'll get all the recipes ahead of time. He prepares everything. He gets all the dishes. He sets it out on the table for television, makes it look great and edible. And so he puts that out. And now they're back at work. They've been back at work for about 5 weeks or something, 6 weeks,
about a month. Yeah.
So he's back to work, and but he's in the kitchen. It takes about 3 to 4 days, depending on what it is, to prep. And once he the kitchen is filled with beautiful, gorgeous food from celebrity chefs that I'm not allowed to eat.
Oh, well, that's good then. So you can get the enjoyment, but no temptation.
Yeah. Well, I also have to go to the refrigerator and say, "Can I eat this?" And they say no. I'm like, "God damn it."
That's work food, not
that's work food. That's work food. Yeah.
Okay. So I found so many pictures, and they were literally, it's going to be This Is Your Life. So first, let me ask you about this picture.
Oh my gosh, that was Kathy Trian.
Yes, it is. Kathy Trian.
we had done, gosh, back in 1991, maybe 92, we had done a show called Zombie Prom.
Why wouldn't you?
And it was really funny. It was really just ridiculous. It was a great cast, and I don't think we ended up doing the show off-Broadway. But it was super fun. It was Bill McKinley directed it, and
Stevens, what's his name? Wonderful choreographer, great guy. Passed away, but
Tony Stevens choreographed it, it was just terrific. Yeah, we had a great time, and boy, were we young. Oh God, that was almost 30 years ago. Look, I'm like a baby. Look at the hair. Look at the hair.
And the tongue.
And I barely needed the shave back then. I mean, look at that.
It looks like high school, actually. And I saw your high school pictures. In high school, you look like junior high. Like
I know.
Really. And actually, speaking of really young, so let me just show you some headshots.
Oh God. Do you have the really dykey one?
I think I've got there is. Oh wait, where the hell are the headshots? They'll be up in a minute.
There was one that I had a friend take, and because I was poor and I didn't have any money and I needed a headshot, so she just whipped out her camera and we went to Central Park, but it looked like I looked like a young lesbian.
Well, I take that as a compliment.
But it got me jobs.
Yeah.
So fine.
And now these are going to be so out of order, but that's okay. Hi, doggies.
That's Bacon. He's barking at the UPS man.
I had no idea you did this.
Hairspray. Oh my gosh! Yes, Hairspray. I've done it twice now, and that's enough.
But now I think that's a role you can be doing for the next 20 years.
It's you know what Billy, I don't really like doing the same thing twice, but
no, that's true.
But this is that was at the Cape Playhouse out in Dennis, Massachusetts.
Oh, sure.
It was fantastic. It's the oldest, I believe, summer stock theater in the country, and it's still running now.
Yes.
Well, not now, but
in the summer.
Like summer stock, you have 7 days to rehearse the show, and then once you have 8-9 hours to tech it, and then it's your opening night. That's it, and then
you close in like, what is it, like 2.5 weeks?
We had a crazy 2-week run because they usually do only 1 week run, but we had 2. But we weren't able to tech Act 2 at all because when they were hanging the flies, they heard this awful creaking sound because the theater is almost 200 years old.
It's all wood rafters.
They're wood rafters, and they hear creaking and cracking. So they're like, all the sets now are just going to be on rollers, and we're just going to put on flats. And so nothing came in. So we never teched Act 2. So we were, whatever's going to happen, happened.
And then you did it at Paper Mill,
I did it at Paper Mill, but that was the original direction. Jack O'Brien and Matt Lenz directed, and original choreography by Jerry Mitchell, and staging and everything. It was terrific. And the original costumes. I think I actually wore, whose costume?
Harvey?
Paul Voigt's, I think. Paul Voigt's costume, but I think they brought it in just a hair. But because you have the fat suit. I mean, the fat suit is like wearing a sofa.
Oh, and and I remember when Jennifer Lewis did Motormouth Mabel, and I was in the dressing room. It's heavy.
It's heavy. Yeah.
And as the show goes on and you sweat.
Oh, it's disgusting. You start to froth a bit.
And it starts to sort of reek a little bit.
A little bit, we sprayed it down. We sprayed it down with vodka. That thing that takes. It's an old trick. You spray your costumes with vodka, and it takes out the the bacteria that causes.
It'll
odor.
kill anything.
Yeah, it'll kill anything.
Okay, here are your headshots. Okay, now how old are you here?
Oh, look at me.
Look at you. Look at
I had
the
to be
baby.
like 23 years old, I think. Yeah.
So what would you tell him that he wouldn't have known was coming down the pike?
Oh, what would I have told him? Oh, I don't know. That's the weird.
Well, what was the one thing that he thought would happen or life would be like that was so wrong?
I thought it was so unfair that I didn't. It's a weird paradox, I guess, that you audition for shows, but you don't get the shows because you don't have the experience. But you don't have the experience because they're not hiring you to do the shows. And so it was always this weird catch-22 thing that I was so frustrated at. Mm-hmm. But I always kept myself going. I just kept going and going. I said yes to everything, and I kept saying yes and going forward. And I did a lot of weird stuff and a lot of terrible stuff and some great stuff, but I kept on doing it. And then I finally, I kind of learned that very early on, thank goodness, that your reputation always precedes you. Mm-hmm. And so if you do good work and, you're professional and everything like that, people will start to remember that.
Work with and
easy to work with and fun to work with. And that actually helps you quite a lot. And the whole idea is the casting directors and directors need to know you before they hire you and get to know you and trust you. And so I said yes to everything.
Yeah, what's interesting when I went through the list, and it's an exhaustive list. I mean, I'm exhausted looking at it. Is
how do you think I feel?
I know is the diversity, and you really have. I very often will say an actor's actor, and I don't want to say that, but what you appear to me to be a journeyman actor, like you're a working actor.
Yeah,
you look for the next job. So many times I read interviews where you're like, I had nothing to do. It sounded like fun. I went and did it. And if it was not fun, I'm out in a month, whatever.
That's I mean, I don't like to stay too long at one place because, I know people who have been in shows like Phantom of the Opera. I know people who are literally original cast members, and they've been in there 31, 32 years. And that's great if that's for them. But I could not myself be that, because you just start being like, it's a small world, and you're not organic anymore. You're not living there. You're not part of it. The energy between actors is not there anymore, and that's just not fun for me.
Well, that's not why you got into acting, presumably.
No, I didn't get in it because it was safe.
No, and did I read in high school, was it high school, that somebody told you, or you embraced like wanting to fail or needing to fail to succeed?
I had a teacher.
I had a teacher, yeah. She said, be afraid, but never let fear stop you.
Right.
And my little 17-year-old, 18-year-old brain just got up. But also, it kind of goes along with failure. I always tell, when I do teach, I always tell my students right at the top of the class, I was like, I want you to fall on your face. I want you to fail, because you'll never be good and you'll never be brilliant unless you do. Failure is like the greatest thing that could ever happen to you, in a way, because you have to learn from that. And you can go forward and you can find so many different things, because if something doesn't work, you got to try something else. So.
Yeah, it's like stand up, that if you don't get the groan, you're not near the line. Like I mean, you know, and
it's the same way.
I've seen you do so many like live events, like Broadway Bears and Easter bonnet things, where you're like, should I say this or not? I'm going to go for it. And it may not work.
It may not work. I've had some bombs, you know, but I think that's funny. I think it's really funny when things don't go right, you know, but yeah.
Okay, here's our first clip of you. This is young.
Funny.
Oh, yeah.
This is your life.
This is your life, Christopher Sieber. Okay, we'll talk about this in a second. Here
Gumbo. It's soup with jazz. And Healthy Choice makes a wild one. It's called Zesty Gumbo. Chicken, sausage, lots of flavor, and a lot less sodium. That's Healthy Choice. You get yourself a big bowl, and you let the good times roll.
Oh my God. I was looking for that the other day. I was like, I wonder what happened to that gumbo.
I'll send you these things.
Because that's hilarious. Oh my God. It was just me and a whole crew in this home in Connecticut. And it was just me in this commercial. The director was hilarious, this woman. And she said, I'm just going to ask you some questions. And like, you really talk about the soup. You really talk about the soup. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, really good. But the thing is, I had to taste the soup. I had to smell it, and then I had to eat there was a shot. I don't think it's in the commercial, but there was a shot where I had a big spoonful. I'm like, so good. And we did like 30 takes of that. And, you know, they have a thing called a spit bucket, but I don't think this product is out there anymore, so I can say what I want. But once you literally take it out of your mouth and it looks like vomit. So there was a bucket of vomit next to me as I'm eating a bowl of vomit and putting the vomit back in a bucket that looked like vomit. So you can imagine acting. It's like, this is not disgusting.
You're so young. How old are you there?
I think I was 23, 24. Yeah, with that headshot.
Was that one of your first things?
That was. I had my first commercial was for a thing called Quincy's, which was a steakhouse in the South. I believe it was in Florida. We went down there and we did a really bad commercial for Quincy's Steakhouse. It was I don't know. You know what? I didn't know what I was doing, but I just did it.
And gig's a gig.
Fine. And I made money, so whatever. But the healthy gumbo, the healthy gumbo, whatever. Really, it made me a lot of money. And I remember it ran all over the place. And it was the first time I had experienced residuals. Because as a young person in New York is for the young and the rich. And once you pass the young part, you go.
Better be rich.
Yeah. So I remember I was counting pennies and dimes and nickels for a subway token for the subway, and I didn't have a dime on me. I literally I'm scraping money together just to get the subway. I had a PO box because I was kind of somewhat homeless, not really, but I had a place. You know, it's weird. I had a place, but I didn't have a place. So I was counting pennies and I had a PO box. So I went and I got my first residual check, and, you know, the credit cards are due and the student loans are due and I have nothing. And I opened the PO box. I take out the envelope and it's from Paradigm, who are my agents at the time. And I open it up and it's a residual check for $13,000.
My God,
I mean, when
a lot of gumbo.
I know when you're just when you're everybody's been there though. When you're like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to eat. I don't know how I'm going to get around. I have no money at all, and there's nothing in front of me to help me. And so and I remember falling on the floor in the post office with this check in my hand and crying. And this cute little old lady comes in, honey, are you all right? And I was like, yes, I just got a lot of money. She says, oh, that's nice. And I
How
paid off
long
my
did
credit.
that run?
That
How
ran
long-
for about 7 months, and
All
it made
right.
me quite a lot of money. Yeah, thank
Good.
God.
Well, I've told the story as well. I think shortly after I moved to LA, I wasn't doing well. The Calm wasn't doing well. LA, you think there's more opportunity. There's exponentially more competition.
Yeah.
And there was a week where I had to choose between buying toner or getting gas. And it was like I could not do both. And I'm like, can I put $2 of gas and a little toner?
Oh my God.
But you do look back and laugh at those.
I mean, you do laugh at that, Yeah, I mean, I will say that the one thing that I tell the kids nowadays is that you have to work. You're not going to be famous overnight. You're not. You think
all.
Well, they want to be the YouTube stars and the TikTok stars and all that. But listen, that it can happen, but it probably won't happen. And so. But when you look back at the things you did to survive,
I will say when things happen now that are terrible, and maybe because I'm older, I've lived through it. It's like someday I'm going to laugh about this.
I always look at that too. There was about probably like 15. I always said, you know what? It was Leroy Reams that told me. Leroy Reams said, Chris, even a bad situation, there's going to be a great story.
That's true. Well, I will say 2 weeks ago, we had Ed Asner on and everything went wrong. And we lost him after like 5 minutes. And I was devastated. I'm like, I hadn't had to cancel a show and it was live.
Yeah.
And you just kind of say, okay. And I'm just sitting there laughing like someday I will laugh at this, I swear. By the way, Ed will be back in 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
And we'll laugh about it.
So what did you do? Did you just riff for?
I riffed for like 5 minutes thinking he might come back.
And then you just canceled?
He did, and I just said, guys, I got nothing for you.
Wow.
And I just laughed because I just thought to myself, you're not paying for this. Nobody else cares, but I'm upset.
But you put so much work into it.
Well, that's the thing is, please. I could run a picture of Ed Asner at any point by accident because there's like 20 of him here. But I don't believe Ed ever was in The Boys in the Band.
Look at that. That was at the Lucille Lortel on Christopher
And
Street.
I was there.
Were you?
I don't know how I didn't fall in love with you, but it is how I met David Drake and James Lucene and Sean McDermott. But what was that? I remember that production was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was my first time seeing the play. And again, people who looked like me and were like, around my age, extraordinary. And here's the play I found.
There it is.
There you are. And then there's this other one. I wish there's a better copy of this, but there you are is that you on the ladder?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. Is it? Did I do that one?
Be. Well,
I don't think I think it might be the other guy.
Well, then
can't
fuck
really
him.
say.
Who cares?
No, I replaced
Who was Ed
somebody
Asner?
when they were at the WPA. Well, first of all, I auditioned for it, and I thought for Donald, the part of Donald, and I thought it went great. And but apparently there was somebody that was already promised the role, and then they took it, and that's fine. And at the WPA, but then he was leaving, or I can't remember if he was leaving or they had it with him. Probably I think he just left, but he, so they asked me immediately, and it was kind of like semi-offer only, after I auditioned.
So no even callback.
But they had done the initial. I had done the initial audition, and Ken Elliott, the director, really liked me. I believe he called me and says, it was a political thing. We had to go with this guy, and then he left, and I got the job. But they were still at the WPA, and I rehearsed with them kind of during the day, and then we moved to the Lortel, and Lortel is just a cute little place, and it's perfect for that show because it's like New York. The stage is the size of an actual New York City apartment.
Right.
So it was great. And we had the whole set, and a lot of the stuff on stage was actually Mark Crowley's belongings. Wow. Because he wanted to, some of it was from the actual original production that he just held on to. Mm-hmm. But we had like magazines and Baccarat Crystal and all these weird things. I was like, Marty, where did this come from? He said, oh, that's from my house. We had After Dark magazine, which was so risque, and we would page through it and see boobs and then penises and stuff like that. It was crazy. But it was that incredible and tight ensemble show. And it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to be
and
in.
Young again. You're really young
but it's a lot. But even though I was age appropriate, but it was, still
the whole cast was.
It was, but it's a very difficult show because you can go down a rabbit hole. David Drake had a hard time. We would hang out all the time, and he said the audience hates me, and I said, David, they don't hate you, they hate the character Michael. They love you, but they're because Michael is a mess.
Dick.
Is a dick, and he's a mess. And but he and I'm Donald and Michael are the only two characters that basically start top of the show, never leave stage until the very end. The last person off stage is me, Donald. And so it's a good 2 hours of literally intense listening.
And you always have something to do, even if you're
always,
not
even
involved.
in the apartment. Well, you had to have this kind of, you had to figure out your relationships with all the other characters. Some people that Donald knew, some people that didn't know. They usually did know each other, but not as familiar with other people. And so you had all this backstory, so you could go and have this relationship with them within the scene. While a scene was happening downstage, you could be upstage having a scene that the audience is privy to. But it was fantastic. It was so incredible. It was so incredible.
I remember it was really the toast of New York for a while when it was at the hotel. I remember because I sent David a letter. I didn't know him at the time, and I didn't hear from him for say 6 months, 8 months. And when he did write me, because this is when you dropped off a letter at the theater or mailed it to the theater, because that's what we did in the old days, kids. He wrote me back and said to me, he apologized for taking a long time. He's like, I have not opened any of the mail because while I was in the show, it was just so much for me to deal with that. And then afterwards, you don't want to read those letters because it's going to bring you right back.
Yeah. David smoked a lot too during that time because he was so stressed out.
Yep, I don't envy him because but I remember as somebody who's acted and was sort of, around the age of you guys, I remember being so struck by him because I knew what he was doing. I never took my eyes off of him because he was so galvanizing.
I mean, that rabbit hole part of that, because he had to have a major breakdown at the end of Act 1 and then a major, major, major breakdown in the end of Act 2. It's so much.
Well, let's lighten things up with this. Here's now you're getting calls.
No, it's only Bill Damashki.
Okay, so now let's go to this. When was this?
Oh gosh, that's where that was the Luntfontein Theater on Broadway.
Oh.
Is
this the Broadway debut?
This is not the Broadway debut, no.
What was that? Triumph of Love?
Originally it was supposed to be a show called Paper Moon. What we did out of town at the Paper Mill Playhouse, and it was a really great cast. We had Gregory Harrison, Christine Ebersol, Linda Hart, John Bolton, and Brooke Seshmanskis and myself played three of the we're three of the ensemble guys, and it was all our supposed Broadway debuts. And so we worked on this thing, and I thought it was a good show, but it was also the year that Sunset Boulevard was coming in, and all the shows were basically closing because they didn't want to compete against Sunset Boulevard because everybody knew that it was probably going to win anyway. So we were going to go in, and so we were out of town, and it started off great, and then things started not getting good, but we were so naive, we didn't know any better. So, but I was like, I'm on Broadway. And, so things started getting a little more heated towards the end, and our producer at the time, he made us. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he, nicest producer on Broadway, just the greatest, and he made us all sit in the house at Paper Mill and sign our Broadway contracts, which is a big deal for someone who's never signed one.
Yeah.
So we all signed them, made sure that everybody signed them, made sure he got them all back, and then he told us that we're not going on to Broadway. Because this is the kind of guy he was, because he wanted to make sure that we got at least 2 weeks of Broadway salary.
So once he signed, he's guaranteed that.
He didn't have to do that at all. And that was just the nicest. That was really cool of him. But yeah, so the marquee was up at the Marriott Marquis and everything. And we were supposed to open like December 8th, something 1994 or 95. I think it was 94. And there was a revival of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at the Minskoff Theater. And they had a replacement call for that show, and I went in, and the audition happened to be at the Marriott Marquis Theater on stage December 8th, 1994. And Vinny Liff, who was the casting director at the time, very good guy, miss him very dearly, walked out on stage and on a big, vast, empty stage, and the creatives and everybody auditioning are, of course, out in the house, like old school. And I walk in like I lost my dog. I mean, I walk in because it was opening night. That was opening night that day, and I just look out. I'm just stunned, and I'm looking out into the house. And Vinny says, "Hey, Christopher, you okay?" And I was like, "No, not at all." He says, "What's wrong?" "It's December 8th, Vinny." And he was like, "What?" Oh, I'm sorry. It's like, it's okay. It's okay.
On the other hand, welcome to Broadway.
Welcome to Broadway. Do you want to do it? And I said, yeah, I'll do it. It's fine. But my heart was so not into it. So,
what did you get that?
I did not.
That was a good day for you.
That was a great day. Yeah, it was. It's okay. I didn't want to be in that stupid show anyway.
Have you done it? Have you been any of the brothers or anything? Back
in the day, my high school, I was Joseph, and then like at the Muni, I was, I don't know, Gideon. I can't remember, but
you could still do it. Pharaoh's always open.
I know what the one thing I like about the show, if they do the original version, it's 60 minutes long.
Yeah, that's true. In and out. We love that. So how did you get Beauty and the Beast?
I went in. I just showed up. No, I worked on it, and I think at that point I had done Two of a Kind already. I think I came back, and I think I did. I did Two of a Kind already, and so I came back and did a play called The Vow, Bill C. Davis play called, and then I auditioned for Gaston, and I got it. And the thing is, I hereditarily don't have biceps. They take a lot of Sieber to do. So I had to work extra hard to get biceps, and I did. But also, I'm hairless. I'm a mannequin. I have no hair. And so every lesson covered with hair, merkin for my chest. I had a big hair triangle on my chest. So every last inch of me is covered with, and it's a merkin. It's a wig for my naked body.
Did it ever fall off during a performance?
No, but it was disgusting. It was disgusting because it looked like a pussy. A big pussy.
Well, at least you can say it. But you mentioned Two of a Kind. So, you went to LA, you did this show. I have a clip. Of course I have a clip. Actually, I have a date-appropriate clip. It's the shortest clip in history, but I think it's appropriate for now. So let's show the clip, then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Hey, Dad.
Oh, check out those costumes. Look at you two, so grown up.
Oh, but we don't want to be grown up.
In and out.
Oh my God! Oh, that was Boyette and Bob Boyette and Tom Miller were the executive producers of that show, and they produced so many great TV shows like Happy Days and Mork and Mindy and Laverne and Shirley and Step by Step, and Perfect Strangers, Laverne, and but they all every time they did a Halloween episode, they would purposely do outtakes for the end of the episode where they would scare people, like the cast, and so they'd have and they would use these clips, and they couldn't get me. And so the only thing they could do is make the Olsen twins come out with silly string and just cover me with silly string. That's all they could do. And because
it's so cute.
It is very cute, but they did. There's a bunch of clips, but also when they showed that on YouTube and whatnot, my voice is so high.
It is a little high.
Hey girls, what are you doing?
I think it's sped up. It has to be because that's
yeah. Well, I think we were talking about this on the Golden Girls show. Is I've noticed that certain episodes of Golden Girls, if they don't cut, they speed up, and it's like all of a sudden when someone's walking, it's like, how did Dorothy get
Shady Pines, Ma, Shady Pines.
Yeah. B. Arthur was never even an alto. So,
but that was
how did you get Two of a Kind?
I was again. I had this great agent that just said, "Hey, we're going to get you into television." I said, "Okay, whatever." I kept.
Did you want to be in television?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, it was a totally different world, but I just went with it and fake it till you make it. And I went into Warner Brothers, which is in New York City. I never got all my TV stuff. I've always gotten from New York City. I've never gone to Los Angeles to get a show. And Two of a Kind came along, and at that point I was auditioning sometimes upwards, which is unheard of nowadays, but upwards of 4 pilot auditions a day in Warner Brothers, CBS, NBC, and ABC. It was crazy. So you would have these scripts and these sides, and you had to semi-memorize them and do your comedy and do your bit and stuff. And so one after the other. And there were times when I was at Warner Brothers on 7th Avenue, and I would go up to the 36th floor, and I wouldn't know which one I was doing, but they would have, I would do 3 in a row in the same room, and just do it. And Two of a Kind was one of them. And I remember I got the thing about all of a sudden they say they want to test you, but you can be anywhere in New York City or anywhere in your life, and you have to get on a plane at 5 a.m. the next morning, and you don't know how long you're going to be gone, and you don't know if you're even going to get it, and they might just send you home the next day. Right. So I went out there and I tested for a different pilot, and I was the first time I'd ever kind of done this thing where you fly across country, not knowing your future, and you're in limbo. And I get there, and it's at not Grub Street. I think, Grub Street, and their producers, but everybody there, I'm the only guy that's flown in from New York. So I am exhausted. My bags under my eyes. I'm just like,
everyone just woke up and they're happy.
And it's like January. So I'm pale New Yorker, and everybody's just sunshine and rested. And I've had coffee already. I'm great. I've had my juice. And so I walk in, and
what was the show? Do you remember?
I can't remember. It was something about Jersey. But I went in and bombed because number one, I didn't know what the heck was going on. And I completely, my mind was just so, what the hell is happening? I didn't get it, and that's fine. But they sent me to this hotel on Wilshire that was horrible. And at the meantime, I didn't have any money on me. So they dump you in
not even gumbo money?
No, not even gumbo money. They dump you in a hotel, and they don't, there's no car, and so you're just dumped there, and you need a car in Los Angeles.
You're stranded.
And so that didn't go. And then I get a phone call from one of my best friends, Diane Murphy, who is the associate to Bob Boyette and Tom Miller. And I get a phone call from my agent saying, they're going to test you tomorrow for Two of a Kind. At the time, it's called Putting Two and Two Together. And so, but Bob and Diane Murphy called me, who was their assistant. And she said, hi, this is Diane. What can I help you with? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, where are you? Where are you? I was like, I'm on the Radisson on Wilshire, and I'm literally below the swimming pool, the rooftop swimming pool that's leaking into my room, and it's a death trap. And she said, well, we can help you with that. Okay, great. How can you get to the Hilton, Hilton? I there unless I walk. And she said, you don't have a car? No, I'm from New York. Said, can you take a cab? And I said, no, I have no money. She's like, oh, okay. Okay, well, I'll send a car for you. They'll pick you up in about an hour and a half, and just hang tight. And I said, under the swimming pool? Perfect.
Where am I going?
So the car does pick me up. It's a lovely town car, and they drive me to the Hilton. And at the desk, I check in at the desk, and there's an envelope waiting for me. And inside the envelope is $5,000 cash and keys to a rental car.
And then out of Scarface.
Oh my God, it was so great. No. and they put me up in the executive level overlooking, I think, what was the Waterworld stunt show or something like that. But
so at this point you're like, I want to work with you.
Oh my God. But the contrast between these people who treated me like crap and then these people who treat me like platinum, and they made sure that I had everything. I have $5,000. What am I going to do with that? It was in cash. And
I know.
So I'm there, and then Bob calls me and Tom calls me, and they want to meet with me the next day. And I go to Warner Brothers for the very first time. I'm on the lot at Warner Brothers, and I'm in the office, and we're reading through the script, and they're giggling and laughing at whatever I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I guess I was just being real. And the next day. They said, hey, have you ever gone to Universal Studios? And I said, no, but there's a view of it outside my window. And they said, well, go to Universal Studios because your life's about to change tomorrow. Like, okay. Didn't take it seriously, but I was walking around. I went to the Universal Studios. They gave me passes. I'm walking around the theme park and everything.
You didn't have to use the $5,000 to
No, they gave me free passes. So I walk into Universal Studios and I'm walking around, which I've never been to, and walking around, and I'm feeling this like, people are going to know me soon. And I'm kind of like, in a weird way, I'm looking at people and seeing if they recognize me yet. And of course they don't. But then the next day I go to ABC, which used to be in Century City down there. And luckily, the good news is I am a theater person and theater actor. So when they do get you in front of, they put you in the screening room with all the executives, and they have, usual suspects lighting on you, and you really can't see them. But I'm a theater person, so yeah, it's a theater. It's a theater to me. To other people who've never done that, it freaks them out because there's no camera to play to. There's nothing. It's real. It's live. And so my friend, dear Sally Wheeler, who is ended up doing the show with me, and then there was another guy who was up for my part. And so we were all New Yorkers, and they said, well, just go away and we'll let you know how it went, or if you got it or you didn't. I was like, okay. So of course we don't have anything to go. I have $5,000. And so we go to, I think it was Merrick's in West Hollywood. I said, guys, why don't we just go meet up and have lunch? Because whoever gets it's going to get it. And I have no hard feelings, or, it doesn't mean, of course it would mean the world to me if I got it, but it would mean the world to me if you got it too. So let's just,
you're not that invested.
No, not at all. So let's just hang out. So we hung out at Merrick's.
You know that the Olsens are involved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, at this point you already know.
Oh yeah, we know what it is.
So that you think at least it's going to go somewhere.
Oh, we knew it was going to go because it was the Olsen twins right after Full House. Okay. So we knew this was happening. So we had a lovely lunch. We had some champagne and toasted each other, and we walked away from the restaurant, and I got in my car, went back to Universal, and I'm sitting in my suite overlooking the Waterworld stunt show, and I get a phone call saying, are you ready to be on ABC? And I fell to the floor, and there was no old lady to say, are you okay, sweetie? So... And being
then the theater actor, you still saw her.
Oh, of course I did. But then we started pretty much almost the next day. That's the way these things work too. That's like I said.
You're like, I'm here.
And we were there for another 2 weeks because they were, of course, kind of developing the show, rewriting it, make sure the pilot's great and everything. And so I packed a huge suitcase. I had no idea how long I was going to be there, but I was eventually almost 3 weeks. I was in Los Angeles, and then I finished the pilot and still in my suite at the Hilton, and it was Universal Hilton. Yeah, the big tower. Yeah, not the Sheraton. The Sheraton what they had on Facts of Life or on Different Strokes. Yeah.
When do you meet the Olsen twins?
The first day, a table read.
What is your initial impression?
Like, what do you do, right? It's like, hi, I'm your dad. It was weird. They were so nice. They were so great. I mean, they were 11 at the time, and they were terrific. They, there's the Olsen twins. There was no skill there. They were just the Olsen twins.
No one's high. Nobody's robbing anyone. They're like good kids.
No, they were great kids. They had great wranglers and handlers, and you know,
and we're pros. They probably could answer any question you have.
I remember Mary Kate during the pilot. She says, "You're in my light." I was like, "What?" She said, "Just go like this. Just go like that. It's like you're blocking my light." I was like, "Okay." 11 years old. So that's something I learned from the Olsen.
Is the gel on?
That's what I learned from the Olsen. One of the Olsen twins. You're in my light, and you have to go like that. That's better. And then I learned. Oh, I can see it. I see what it is. Okay, so that's one thing I learned. And I also learned the other thing from the Olsen twins is when you're taking photos, say prune. All right. Prune. It's not quite duck face, but it makes your lips look luscious and small.
Delicious.
Prune.
When do you realize it's not going to go beyond a year? Let's go from the happiest day to the end.
Oh, well, for some reason we were kicking butt.
Yeah.
Really doing well. We were the lead-in for the entire GIF Fridays. A stat show, you know. Am I losing? Am I going? Am I flicking out?
You're losing me a little bit, Ed Asner. Yeah, you're a little Ed Asner-y, but I think you're coming back. Oh, now you're frozen, Christopher Sieber.
Okay, I'm spinning.
Wait, I hear you now.
I'm spinning a little bit.
Yeah, you're back right
there.
now.
I am.
Yep. Oh, now you're a little frozen again.
Yeah. Oh.
Christopher, do you want to come back in? I can kick you from the studio. You can come back in. I will kick you from the studio if you can hear me. I'm going to kick him. Oh, wait. No, maybe you're coming back and I don't need to kick you. You know, I never should have mentioned that Ed Asner. He's the kiss of death. Okay, I'm kicking you from the studio, Christopher, and you'll come back. Christopher Sieber will be back with us. So when he asked, what do you do when you lose a guest? This is what you do. You sit here and you wait and you think to yourself, Christopher Sieber knows how to click on a link again. Now, will he? And I can't blame the island because he's on the mainland, which is actually on an island known as Manhattan. See, these are the fascinating things I can tell you. Did I mention that on Thursday we're having Gilles Marini? Just thought I'd mention that. Gilles coming up. We'll see what the hell kind of internet he has. Coming back. Hey, Christopher. That looks like a phone.
That's such a phone.
Hi, honey.
Hi. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
We have the public schools here, and they're all streaming, and I think they were all just getting out at this time or something. But
so we were talking about. Oh, there you are. Perfect.
There we go. There we go.
Perfect. So we were talking about when you realized that Two of a Kind was not coming back.
That's right.
Oh, see, it's that question.
I'm going to come back because we were doing. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead. Yep.
All right. We're doing really well. We were doing really well, and
Friday nights kicking off the night.
Kicking off the night, and then we wrapped the season, and then over the summer we started hearing rumors that there was a new head of ABC, and they wanted to have their legacy, and so we were on what they call on the bubble, and which means that they don't know if you're going to come back or not, and then we weren't, and we found out basically that they have these things called the upfronts where they announced the new season, and up to that point we weren't even sure, and then we saw the Friday night lineup and we weren't on it. So that's a great way. And then you start calling it. Well, it was a good lesson to learn too, because you know a lot of people on ABC and in ABC, you know, the executives and whatnot, and they pretend they don't know you anymore. And so it's like, wow, okay, we're done. So
unlike Broadway, when a show closes or when something happens, they still acknowledge you. They look you in the eye, your friends. But TV, it's like they look the other way. They don't know where to look.
Oh, yeah.
Were the Olsens fine with it? Because they had already been through it. So they're like, yeah, this is television.
They're like multimillionaires. What do they care?
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, but they did have a show on Universal, UPN. I believe it was the year after we had wrapped or were let go. And they started having a series, but that one didn't last longer. And I think they just kind of got tired of doing the TV Olsen twins thing. I mean, I'm sure.
So we can blame them.
Yeah,
blame
I'm
them.
totally blaming Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen.
Exactly.
Oh, they're going to be at my show. I'll just tell you that they're going to be at my show.
Oh, okay. As they should be.
They are going to be front row, just so you know.
And they may not be high as kites. We don't know. But I showed this picture, so I was telling people about you doing my talk show pilot.
Oh gosh, look at that! Oh.
Look how young we are. We're so cute.
Oh my God, I'm adorable. You too.
You're
look at that shirt.
I know, it's like we're on a date.
Oh my God.
So this is at the point where you're doing It's All Relative.
Right.
I told people what the show was. So I want to show this clip, which this is not the clip we showed last time. So there's your piecemeal, that pilot will be released. Just you have to wait around. So Christopher got this show and he's part of a gay couple. And we find out that he had been part of a boy band in high school.
Oh, wow.
So Christopher is explaining to me how they tried to get the guest star. And while we go to the clip, you can play with your phone.
Okay.
And I can find my chapstick, which is here somewhere. All right, here's the clip. Roll them.
Jordan Knight from New Kids on the Block flew himself. No, he flew himself out.
No one asked him to come.
His manager or agent, I can't remember how it works, but he flew himself out and says, "I'm perfect for this part. I'm perfect for it." And yeah, he was. And let me tell you something. It was for Rad Brad. It was for the part that would play
your ex-boyfriend.
My ex-boyfriend.
Your first love.
Yeah, and he basically, if Jordan's watching the show, he had the part. All he had to do was read the lines, but when he did read the lines, he found out the character was gay. And he said, "Oh, well, you know what? I had a lot of thing when I was New Kids on the Block. I couldn't really do it, because, or I couldn't, talk about it and stuff like, well, are you? No.
Oh, no.
He asked them, thinking that he was Jordan Knight and he could just, could just change the script.
Rewrite it for me.
And, he's actually asking the executive producers of this, and they said, well, no. And he says, well, because I would do it if my character was straight, and they were like, no, if you don't feel comfortable.
Then we got no show.
If you don't feel comfortable doing this, you don't have to audition. And then he just got really mad and he opened the door and he screamed down the hallway in a production office, "I'm not gay!"
Yeah, there you go.
And he stormed out. And
like a big queen.
It was weird.
And what we should say is that you were not there for that. You would early in the interview, you'd said that Ann Giordani Fleck had told you the story.
Yes.
And Chuck Ramberg told me.
Yeah.
So.
They were because we were it was a really tight group of people. Thank goodness. I mean, that was and Ann and Chuck were just amazing. And they said,
great people.
They really were. And they say, okay, listen to this.
So let me show people the clip of how it actually aired with the great Ed Quinn, who people know from Two Broke Girls and a million other things, and not bad to look at, I might add.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So here he is.
Simon says. Oh, damn, bro, you are taking good care of yourself.
Well, speak for yourself. It's a good thing Saddam didn't have those guns. Oh, this is my partner, Philip.
It's very nice to meet you. Right back at you. So, you're the guy that got this one to settle down.
Yeah, hey, this...
And it was a really fun show. Again, lasted a season. It had a great pedigree around it, a great cast, and might have been a little ahead of its time. Very risque for its time.
Yeah, and also, there were they wanted to make it a little more sitcom-y than like a Will and a Grace thing, and I think what happened was, we did some great episodes, but the Harriet Harris and I were kind of the second banana characters, I guess. We were the wives, and they didn't utilize us as much. And I'm not complaining, but I just have a theory as to why it really didn't go, because they kept on using, they used Lenny and John, and they always at each other. But I thought there was a lot more comedy to be mined with the other characters as well. But and then there were just some jokes that were just like, really, you couldn't do better than that. But
yeah, I always cringe a little bit when I hear a joke coming out of a gay character. Like, nobody would say that. But...
No one would say that. There were a few of those like that. I was like, really? That okay?
I've never been to a gay party where a Saddam joke happened. I have to
No,
say.
never.
But that was your last series, right?
That was the last series. Although I was going to be a series regular on Pushing Daisies.
Well, you did. You were a guest. You guested.
I was a
on
guest
that.
star, but Paul Rubens and I were going to be kind of like spy versus spy if the show continued on.
Funny.
It would. And Paul was just the best. I mean, he was the way he introduced himself to me was we were in Warner Brothers again, and we're in the trailer. I'm in the trailer, and I hear this. Can I come in? And I answer the door, and there's Paul Rubens sitting there. And says, "Hi, I'm Paul." And we, from that point on, we were dear friends. And he is a troublemaker and so much fun to be with. And we had a lot of time on our hands. And so he said, "So let's go steal a golf cart and tool around the lot." We're like, "Great." So we stole a golf cart and we tooled around the lot, and then it ran out of battery power, and we just up and left it. Then we went and saw, well, who else we visited? We The Big Bang Theory was filming there, I think, on 24. And he knows everybody. He knew everybody. So he just he says, "Come on, let's go inside." So we hung out, and but we had the best time. Yeah, and then the writer's strike happened, and that's what happened to that one.
Well, let's going back to It's All Relative, because that's when I met you during that time.
Right.
And it was so interesting for me because I got to know you, I think, at the very beginning of the show. And as it went on, your mood was, it was very up and down. And I think that it was I don't know, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but it seemed like it was a difficult time because you never really knew what was happening and what was going on. Your partner Kevin was back east. He had come back. He came out to visit you. I remember.
Yeah,
because I remember you had to leave my talk show to go pick him up at the airport. But what was that time like for you?
It was, well, like I said, it was we did all these. We came out. I guess I came out. But I was always never in. But there were a lot of events that I was spreading myself too thin, I think, is what happened, because I kept on saying yes to events, and because I was now this gay person on television, I felt that I needed to represent, I was a reluctant role model, I guess, but I was also, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to be on a sitcom. Yeah. And, the sitcom acting, especially with a 4-camera show, it's not that hard. No,
it's like a little play every week.
It's like a little play, but it is still it is a lot of work, especially doing this material. And like I said, kind of cringing at some of the just jokes. And I guess I was getting a little, I guess, like I said earlier, a little, I'm not upset, but just disappointed that they weren't utilizing the whole cast as much. They used John and Lenny a lot because they had this thing. But they could have used us a lot more, and there was a lot, more storyline there. But I was disappointed when it was canceled, but I wasn't surprised.
Well, in the middle of it, you did something which I thought was really interesting, which kept probably your sanity, which is you did live performances. And during that time, I remember seeing you in Company.
Oh my God.
With the fabulous Amy Peets.
and Judith Light and it was
Deborah Gibson.
Debbie. I think she's Debbie again.
Yeah, I think so. But that was where I first saw you on stage and knew who you were. And I remember saying, he's a comedic genius because
thank you.
So much more in you than the character. And I think vocally it was so great to hear you sing it, but acting wise, I'm like, oh, I need more from him.
That is a show that you do. That's a rabbit hole show for Bobby.
Is it really?
Yeah. You go down and you start, am I drinking too much? Am I doing too many drugs? You really start questioning yourself. And it was, it was for Reprise, and they don't have, they have the resources, but they don't want to spend the money. So, we did the show, and it's rehearsed in, I think, 7 or 8 days, and then you do the show. But originally these were designed to always hold a script in your hand, and then they evolved into theater. and doing that
kind of
show.
like encores in New
Yeah,
York.
exactly. And it's a lot. It's a lot to get in your head, especially when you're
for Bobby.
For Bobby, and it's a lot of reactionary acting. You know, you don't really say that much, but you have to keep everything square, and you have to keep everything straight, and you have to figure out what the relationships are. It was a lot, and the emotional punch at the end of the show when Bobby goes from someone to hold me too close, then it turns into somebody. Just so please someone rescue me, and it's just like a prayer, and it's just like, oh, it's so devastating emotionally. One of the coolest things, like meeting Judith Light, though, and then from that point on,
who was Joanne in that?
Joanne, and being just, I mean, she cannot not be your friend.
No.
And but she taught me so much about just be there and show up and in the scene. And I'll never forget the first time we did the Bobby Joanne scene at the club, and she leans over. So when are you and I gonna make it? And when you have Judith Light saying that to you on stage, you're like, oh my God. It was fantastic. It was fantastic, and we've been friends forever since then. That's where we met, and why we remained good friends still then.
Was it a role that you coveted?
No. No. It was one of those things that kind of came along, like, you know, and you said, I should probably do this. And I'm glad I did, but I'll never do it again. I'm glad I'm in company now on Broadway. Does it inform your performance now? I mean, well, yeah. And actually the gender swap of Bobby being a woman this time, it doesn't really, it makes much more sense. And also the gender swaps of the couples as well. Right. You know, there's the gay couple that's getting married, and then I think actually Jen Simard and myself, Harry and Sarah, are the only two characters in the show that haven't been swapped.
Right.
And there's still male female. Sorry, there's still male female, but the I guess the one is the money maker and one is the caretaker. And so it's a whole other thing, and it makes so much more sense. It works so well. It's so good, and it's still there. We're just waiting to get back.
Yeah, you had told me when I had you on for Broadway Bears that is one of the shows that will definitely return because the producers have these insurance things.
Pandemic insurance,
right?
Yeah,
right. So, which is great. I just think it's interesting that, you know, how many people have played numerous roles in company.
I'm so happy that I'm not Bobby.
I remember when you did it in LA, and I said, God, you're so good at this. And you said, I never have to do this again.
I never.
It's done. I'm done.
I'll never have to do that again. And then, so like I said, it's an emotional and kind of physical toll that you do when you play that part. And then we ran for 2 weeks there because they knew it was going to sell well.
Right.
And then I was getting calls and emails about auditioning for the show Spamalot. And I had made them give me a first class airfare ticket home because I knew that I was going to be exhausted. But that was the next day. I had to fly right after the performance of Company in Los Angeles, get on a red eye to go audition for Spamalot at like 11 in the morning, which is the worst thing you could possibly ever think of. And but I was so exhausted that I slept right through the audition. I didn't wake up until like 3 p.m.
No.
And then people were calling, and my phone, I couldn't, I was out. I was gone. And Kevin finally came home and made sure that I wasn't dead. And I was like, what's going on? And so I didn't get a Spamalot initially. And then a couple of months later, Bob Boyette, again, who is the producer of Spamalot, calls me out of the blue and says, can I see you tomorrow? And I said, yeah, sure, of course. He says, well, just tell your agent to call Tara Rubin, the casting director. I was like, what are you talking about? I will see you tomorrow. What? Get a phone call from Tara Rubin at 6 a.m. the following day. It says, hey, can you be in front of Mike Nichols and Eric Idle in a couple hours? And here, I'm sending you the script, and I'm sending you the sides, and I'm sending you the song. And I'm like, what? Hang up. call me back in an hour. I'm not ready for this. So she does. She calls me back, and I said, so, okay, what? You're going to be in front of Mike Nichols around 11:30 noon today. And I said, for Spamalot? She said, yeah. Okay. Do you have a funny song? And I said, not right now. Sure, I'll find one. And it was Agony from Into the Woods, and I sang it like a psycho with a dual personality.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And so it worked, and but I was in the room. And it's usually the opposite way when you audition.
Yeah.
You go into the room. I was already in the room, and then they came in the room, and then I did this. The dentist scene is like when Anako Syndicalist, and Mike said to me, Mike Nichols, which is like just Mike. Well, it's Mike to me, but and then Eric, of course, my comedy god, and he says, "How do you know this?" And I says, "I've known this since I was 8."
Yeah, right.
Such a fan of them. So, and then they dragged me right to New 42 Studios. Douglas Sills, who was playing the part originally, just decided he doesn't get it. He's not getting it. He just wanted to go. He just wanted to go. So they opened the door, and they had just told the cast that Doug was no longer going to be in the cast. And then I walk in.
Hello.
This is terrifying. And then that day, I went into the next room and got my costume fitting and worked with Sada Ramirez. And then we went to Chicago 2 days later.
And here are the men of Spamalot.
Yeah.
Now, what a cast.
Great
I mean,
cast.
aside from Sada, who's not in there, but obviously, I mean, this is like comedy gold, fun. I remember seeing it, and I remember thinking to myself, these people are having an awful lot of fun. And it's not acting.
No.
Like, it's fun.
We were having a blast. We would get to the theater about an hour earlier before curtain, just so we could hang out with each other. Because
really?
Because the show ran like a bullet. If you weren't on stage, you were changing costume, getting ready to come back on. So you were always just kind of back and forth. So we would get there early and hang out, and we just laughed, and we loved giggling, and we loved making Hank Azaria break on stage. And David Hyde Pierce and I would be at the feet of God, and we would just be like, look like we're cowering at the feet of God. We're actually just laughing. And I turned, after about a year, we're still giggling, and I whispered to David, it's like, should we just like pull it together? He says, never. So, but Hank Azaria was the easiest to break on stage because we call him like the wounded antelope on the prairie, because you just change a little thing, just a little moment, or give him way too much room to between the line, and he would just lose it.
Was this really where people saw that you could be funny? Did it break you into the character roles?
I don't know. Maybe I learned a lot more. I mean, I learned a lot of comedy from F. Murray Abraham, actually.
Really?
In Triumph of Love.
Triumph? Yeah.
Well, the simplicity of it and the subtlety of comedy that he did was like, you don't have to be, wow, look at me. You can be very subtle and be very funny. And go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that's what Spamalot remind me of, is you're not playing the laugh. You're playing it earnestly, which is what's funny.
Well, that's what Eric told me. He says, you're very silly people, or you're very serious people doing very silly things. And you play it straight. And don't try and make it funny. I had a lot of friends that auditioned for the show, and they tried to, make it funny. All you have to do with Monty Python material is just say it like you really fucking mean it. And that's it. And it's gold, and it works. It works every time.
When you had somebody else in one of those roles, because you were such an ensemble, did it alter? Like, were there people that just didn't fit into the cog?
Well, that's, it's understudy's job is daunting anyway. But when somebody has to jump in and play, somebody, well, first of all, our cast was filled with big stars, so there's always like the role of Hank Azaria won't be played, and you hear the audience go meh, and so they have
thanks, I feel so
thank
good.
You so much, thank you. But you're gonna see the goddamn show, so shut up. But it was different because we were all so close and such a tight, but we were never, no one was really out. at all for the first year. No one.
See, that's great when you have an ensemble that really they're taking this seriously. It's not like some shows where there's different papers every day, you know.
Right.
But now you stayed for that for a while. What was that, like a year and a half?
I stayed with it for almost 2 years and 3 months. But I also went to the West End to do it. So I was on Broadway for a year and a half, and then they shipped me and Tim Curry over to London, and I lived there for 7 months doing the show there, putting it up and opening it and running my time out. And then I came back. And I came back to the show for a while, and then Hannah Waddingham, who was the Lady of the Lake in the West End, they offered it to her, and I always told her, it's like, if they ask you to come back, I'm doing it with you, and because
really?
they gave us that option. If we ever wanted to come back, just say, and we'll put you in the show. So,
well, another show that you have come back to over and over and over again,
Chicago.
Chicago, there you are. And is it 6, 7 times? How many times?
Six times. Can you believe it?
No. And
starting
again,
in 2004.
I had the dates here. Yeah. I mean, 2004, the last time you did it was 2016.
Oh my God.
And I know. I mean, and each time you go in, sometimes just for a shorter run, sometimes it's a few months.
Yeah. Yeah. The principals rarely stay for long.
Right.
I mean, I think the Velmas and the Roxys have a longer run than the Mama Mortons and the Billy Flynns. The Billy Flynns are usually only there for about anywhere from 2 to 3 months, and then you move on. But they also, Barry Weissler, the producer, once you've done the show, he knows he can call you up on a Saturday night and say, "Can you do the show tomorrow?"
You're on the list.
Which has happened twice.
Really?
Yeah, they called me on a Friday saying, "Can you do the show tomorrow night?" I was like Chicago? They're like, "Yeah, I haven't done it in 4 years, right?" And you're like, "Yeah, you'll be fine." And it's true, because once you get on that stage in the costume and the spotlight and everything, it literally, your body just drakes over.
Muscle memory.
Yeah, it just takes over. But the one thing that's always shocking is when your first entrance is, everybody here is, and here he is, and you're up on the step and the set is black. Everything's black. And then this spotlight just hits you, and you're on this platform about 6 feet high. And that, you never get used to that.
Really?
Because it's just darkness. You come up in the darkness and a spotlight hits you and you can't see anything, and it's just bright, but it's dark. And then you have to walk downstairs. But the part is actually, it's so much fun to play because you can interpret him so many different ways. I mean, that's the great thing about Chicago too. You can interpret the story so many different ways because we're living it now, And
you're also playing it with so many different people who are going to bring different things. Who has been, I don't want to say favorite, but who's been the most surprising of the ladies? In any way?
Well, there was a moment, because there's a revolving door of the cast.
Yes, I know.
Charlotte Dembois is always wonderful. Amr Faye Wright is just incredible. Ray Bocor as Amos is just stunning. But one of the funny moments, one of these moments where I came back on, called on Friday, I'm doing the show Saturday. They said, you're on with, I can't remember her name, but she's a Mexican actress, and she's so good. She was so amazing. The first time I met her was on stage.
Oh, God.
There's a line where, Amos, if I don't get the money, you'll rot in jail before I bring you to trial. And then that's when you see her. That's when I saw her for the first time. And I was just like, you'll rot in jail before I bring you to trial. And she turns around and I'm like, I have no idea who this woman is. I have no idea. But we know the lines and we know the show and it's all the same. So we just did it. And after the whole, we did Where You Come From, Mississippi, that whole song. We both leave and we're backstage after that. And she said, "Oh my God, you're so good." And I said, "You're so amazing. You're incredible." "Hello, I'm Christopher." She said, "Hello." Yeah. That's how it happened.
Yeah, I remember I was hanging out with Roz Ryan, who's done it around
Roz
the world.
Is so amazing.
And Roz is like, "Baby, I've done it with everybody.
Yes,
I can do it with anyone. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just show whoever's there. I do what I do." And
Roz is amazing.
Oh, I mean, and the last time she did it, actually second to last time she did it, she told me, "I'm done with the show. I'm never doing it again." And then I said, "Okay, I just saw you doing the show." She's like, "Baby, Mama got to pay the bills."
Yeah.
That's, okay. So all right. So you got Spamalot, you got Chicago, and then We've got a show that I knew very little about because I never got to see it. I'm looking if I've got the picture here. I might have the picture here. I might not. But I would think it's always daunting playing a part based on a real life person.
Like
you
me?
know where I'm going to now. Well,
The Prom?
and it's called it's the Kid.
Dan Savage, yeah, the Kid. That was
Dan
so good.
Savage's show, which I never saw, and I had read the book, so I know the story. It's a really great book, but I don't know anything about the show. So, what was the show like?
It was based on the book, and Dan Savage was there a lot to.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, to give us what's what and tell us the stories of how this actually went down. I mean, more elaborate than what's in the book. And Lucas Steele and I, we hit it off right away. We spent as much time as possible together to have a chemistry together. And he lived on the Upper West Side like I did, way up 110th Street. And we rode the subway to work and pretty much back home every single day. And we
talked about developing a relationship.
Yeah, we did. And we talked about everything, and it was great. And the greatest thing about that is it's such a touching, funny story because Dan and Terry's own inner homophobia about how other people view gay people, and they think that straight people are out to get them. They don't want them to have their baby. That's not true at all. But in the end of it, the show was terrific, and I heard more comments from that off-Broadway show. It was like maybe 200 seats. More people came up to Lucas and I and said that was the best show I've seen in a long time. And more like the Kid, this little teeny tiny show that only ran 6 weeks, maybe that. And more people talk about that show than almost any other show that I've been in. I was like, really? But I guess it's the Upper West Siders that saw it. So,
Well, a few people that I spoke to, and they said, you've got to make sure you talk to him about the Kid. And I said, I didn't see the Kid. They said, doesn't matter. You got to talk
really
to him about
good.
it. It was really good.
What happened was they wanted to, of course, go to Broadway, and they wanted to, I think, move into the Booth or the Helen Hayes Theater. It's a nice small theater. And we didn't get The Kiss, apparently, from the New York Times, which is kind of weird because I thought the show was great. I mean, it was a little, there wasn't much wrong with it. There's a few cuts here and there, but for the most part, it was quite good and harrowing, actually, because you're like, are they going to have the baby? Are they not going to have the baby? Are they going to have the baby? And what happened was they didn't, so they thought, well, maybe we should rewrite it. And they rewrote it, and we did like a reading of it with almost pretty much the same cast. And they freaked out with their writing, and they lost it. They lost the whole charm of the show, and they made the show, which the Kid, the show that we did was about the Kid, and they made it about Dan and Terry. And Dan would be the first person to say, you can say whatever you want about me. You can say whatever you want about Terry, but you do not say anything bad about the mother of our kid. And so they made it about Dan, and that's not interesting. And it wasn't interesting. And all of a sudden you could feel it because the opening number was kind of cool, how you meet Dan and how you understand who he is and Terry, and you understand their relationship already. That was gone. And it was so confusing because I'm like, why are you doing this? It was so good, but so it didn't happen, and I don't think it ever will, but it's tragic because I thought the original show was terrific. It was exhausting. It was one of those shows I didn't leave. Like Lucas and I never left the stage on that show. It was 2 hours, never left the stage.
Yeah. And again, a lot on your shoulders emotionally.
Oh God, always. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll lighten it up because one of those days that you were going to go into Chicago, you're in line at the box office to pick up a ticket because you're like, oh, I got to see it again because I might be going in. And you get a call that says, go to a different theater.
Yeah. Go to see Cage Aux Folles with Harvey Fierstein and Jeffrey Tambor.
And you're like, well, that's a very odd way to prepare for Chicago.
It's a very strange way to see another show that you're going into that you're not doing.
So you go backstage after seeing it. You like it.
I see Harvey.
Tambor's understudy is on.
Jeffrey's nowhere to be found. And I knock on Harvey's door, of course, because we're friends. And he says, enter. And I go in and he sees me and eyes get wide and he's wearing a turban and bathrobe and slippers and he grabs me, throws me on his couch.
But that's what he normally wears.
Well, that's what he normally wears. That's just day wear. He grabs me, throws me on a couch. Says, "Are you gonna do the show with me?" It's like, "What? Are you gonna do the show with me? What show?" "This show. Jeffrey Tambor just up and left me. I've had one night stands that lasted longer." And I said, yes, of course. And 7 days later, I was doing, and then that I think it was my opening night or my first preview or the second preview. That's when they took these pictures. Because I had 7 days. And then my third preview, I believe, is when they let the press come. And I was like,
no.
Why are you doing this to me? But
I need reviews.
Harvey was, of course, a dear friend, and we love each other, and our chemistry together was so great. And so he, most of the hard work was done because our relationship was already there.
Right. You didn't have to take the subway with him.
No, our relationship was because we've known each other for so long, and he's not only my friend, but he's my hero as well. So, but he called me about a week later. I think the reviews had come out on a Monday, and after my first week of shows, and he says, "Christopher, you're sitting down." I said, "Yes, sit down." It's like, "What?" "The reviews are out." It's like, "Oh shit." He says, "They loved us. They loved us." We got some great reviews. We got wonderful reviews, which is great. And one of the reviews I had to memorize because it was like the chemistry between Mr. Firestein and Mr. Sieber. Sparks are flying, so much so that you might want to reach out and touch it, but be careful. You might burn your fingers. I mean, come on, that's a great review. And what did they put on all the pamphlets in Times Square at TKTS? A picture of us two with big fun over the top of it.
Those Weislers, they know how to sell a show.
Yeah, because they pay per letter, apparently.
Well, I came to see you there. It was because when they announced that you were going in, which was not the way life was supposed to go,
right.
I'm like, okay, I have to go. And I remember going to a matinee, and I don't know what, maybe you remember, there were all these cupcakes.
Oh, because it was
Do you remember that day?
It was like our 500th performance or something.
Yeah, it was a matinee.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you I was going to be there. I just went to the stage door and I said, "Could you tell him I'm here if he's got a second?" And then you said, "Come on the stage and have a cupcake." So, but you went to, how long did you end up in the show with Harvey? Because
I think it was about 9 weeks total.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah,
God.
it didn't last long. Yeah, I was there for about 2 months, and then this poor girl. Oh gosh, what was her name? She was making her Broadway debut, and they just hired her, and she had her put in that day. She was going on Broadway, and that's when they dropped the bomb. We're closing. Poor girl.
But she got to do the show or not?
Yeah, she did it for 4 weeks.
Right.
So it would have been 12 weeks. It would have been about 3 months, yeah.
So unlike yours, where you just got to sign the contract and never go on, at least she got on.
Oh, she did, yes. And then and then we went on tour.
Yeah. So you go from Harvey, and you're on the left, and then suddenly
there I am
on the right with George Hamilton.
Yeah, a year and 3 months with George Hamilton.
Okay, so now first off, let's talk about switching roles. When you were doing it with Harvey, were you ever thinking in the back of your head, "I'd like to do that"?
Never. But Barry Weissler, of course, again, comes to me and says, "Hey, you two, Harvey and Christopher, would you guys like to go on tour?" And I said, "Sure, if Harvey's doing it, that'd be fun." Can you imagine how fun that would be? I mean, in Iowa with Harvey Firestein? Hysterical. And so, but Harvey was writing Newsies and Kinky Boots with Cindy and Jerry. And so he was unavailable. I was like, "All right, fine, I'll do something else." And then he came back to me a couple days later and says, "Hey, are you still interested in tour? I think we have George Hamilton." And I said, "George Hamilton's going to look weird in a dress." And he said, "No, I want you to switch parts. I want you to play Alban and him, George." And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
That's interesting.
And I did.
How often do you get to play the
same
opposite?
part? The same part. Both parts in
the romantic lead.
The same production. I don't think anybody's ever done that, but
I don't think so. Yeah. And what was it like? Did you see the original part differently through George's? I mean, through Alban's eyes, did you see George differently?
Well, I was, no, but I saw Alban differently because
that's interesting.
Because it was also my take, but also I did it for 12 weeks with Harvey, who wrote it, so he had a certain way of doing it, and of course I steal from the best. So
you're no fool.
He had some great, wonderful things, but George is actually a harder part than Alban. Well, that's not true. They're both hard parts. But
they're hard differently. One is a little more subtle.
One is driving the show. George actually drives the show.
Right.
Alban is just the entertainer, and it's so much work because you're if you're not on stage, you're backstage, changing costume, changing wig, changing necklaces, changing shoes, everything. It's constant. It's nonstop.
Hello.
Yeah, it's nonstop, and the costumes are amazing, and they're so much fun, and yeah. But I mean, George Hamilton was. He said he was 74 at the time. I think he was probably 84 at the time, but he was so much fun to be with, and he was so nice and kind and generous, and he worked so hard on the show.
Really?
He had a music stand backstage, and anytime he was off stage, he would go back to his music stand and look through his script to make sure he got the scenes right. Every single show. For a year,
and it's a hard show, particularly if you don't have those muscles. He hasn't been doing it a lot.
Yeah. But he never trusted himself, and so that was weird. That was strange. And I was like, I kept on telling George, you know it, you have it. And of course, I did the part, so there were a lot of little signals that I would give him. I was kind of like a little mystery puppeteer sometimes, telling him, giving him little signals of what's next and stuff. And, I carried him through the show. So that's what the tour made me more exhausted, because I was carrying a lot of
carrying you right there.
Actually, I'm holding him up. I'm leaning against him so he doesn't fall.
So again, what an amazing experience to really get to play both leads. It would be like in The Odd Couple, like halfway through saying, I think I'll play the other role.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just an extraordinary thing. And then quite a landmark in your life, Law and Order. Can we talk about that? Because it means you lose a really good joke in your bio.
I know. I had it in my.
And I will do anything to hold on to a joke.
I considered that. So I had in my playbill, because everybody in the playbills in New York always has their credits, and it's always Law and Order SVU, Law and Order Criminal Intent, everything. I have no such credit on my resume at all. So and they were like, Mr. Sieber. The last line of my bio was, Mr. Sieber has not appeared on Law and Order, and it was in there for probably 15 years. And then, but I had auditioned for the show about 31 times, and
just not right.
Just I don't know. I mean, but this was better because they just gave it to me because I don't know, because
you just got a call.
Well, because somebody, I think the New York Post, the Daily News, and the New York Times did a story on the fact that they did a story on the playbill bio, and then Dick Wolf got a hold of it, and he says, "You want to do it? Come here." And they just gave it to me. So for 2.5 weeks, I was filming Law and Order. And
did you like doing it?
It's a weird show. It's a single camera show, and you're all over different locations. So it is a lot of fun. It's just a lot of hurry up and wait. Mariska Hargitay is just incredible. She's so much fun to be with. I mean, she's just the best. I had a nice time, but you always feel, as a guest star, you always feel like an idiot because you don't know the energy of the cast and crew that are always there. It's always
in and out.
Yeah, you also come, you want to, but you don't know their game, and you don't know, it's really, it's like going to a party where you don't know anybody and nobody really talks to you.
Those are the parties where you can usually steal something and nobody will ever know.
So, always.
And that's what you do with Law and Order, steal the scene.
I had to make a request to Playbill to change my bio, and they literally but Mr. Sieber has not appeared on Law and Order. I asked for them to put a line through it.
Oh, that's funny. Funny.
So I said, Mr. Sieber has line across it, and they're like, "You want us to put a line through not?" I'm like, "Yes, it's a joke." And they're like,
"Yeah,
how is it funny?" It's like, because I have finally, I have to explain it. It's not that funny.
No, I know. When I was in acting school at the academy, the big thing everybody got was Unsolved Mysteries. And I auditioned
as a corpse
at least 10 times. And I remember going back saying, does nobody in New York City want to see me dead? Because it was just like, come on, what talent does it take? But I never got it. So, and then the show got canceled, and then, that's what happens. But then you had a little bit of I think one of the funniest things you ever did, and I don't know if it was the most fun. I think it was pretty physical. Matilda.
Oh, Matilda. That was, you know what? It was fun at first.
Was that before or after your incident? Because you did injure yourself.
Oh, yeah. That was in rehearsal. That was in rehearsal.
Was that before?
For my put-in. They want to rehearse you for 6 weeks for one part. And usually, I've gone into shows in less than 4 days.
Yes.
But this one, they gave you a full 6 weeks. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'll be done in a week. I'll be done. And you're just going to be wasting time. But they put you through like boot camp and all this other stuff and crazy scene work. And which I love all of that and working on it. But also I'm ready to go. You can let me do it. I'm fine. And we just kind of like, we're just there in the studio. And I said, we could cut back rehearsal times. Cause it was, from 10 to 6 every day. I was like, you're not going to,
it's a lot of work.
It's just for one part. I mean, the part's not that big and it's not that hard. And, so it was the week of my put-in, and it was the day before, I believe. And I went to Chelsea Piers, which is this big gymnasium where you learn how to do a somersault and flip in the air off your, the
because your character is an Olympic medalist,
gold medalist in hammer throwing. But you have to do this amazing flip off of trampoline over the thing, do a flip and this land like an Olympic gymnast.
Had you practiced this before?
Oh yeah.
And
okay. It's actually it becomes the easiest part of your show because it's just it's over in 2 seconds. It's really spectacular, but it's actually quite easy. But I was at Chelsea Piers and I'm rehearsing and I came up for my prep and my back of my hand hit the pommel horse so hard that it broke my metacarpal in my hand.
Oh,
geez. Right there, that one.
Oh,
and so. It didn't really hurt, but it was making a weird clicking sound.
Yeah, that's not good, Christopher.
But it didn't hurt. So, but the next day
Clicks aren't good.
I know. I went back to my physical therapist the next day and asked Sean Gallagher, who was amazing. I said, is this broken or not? And he went, click, 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 click. He says, I'm not allowed to professionally and ethically give you an opinion whether it's broken or not. But as a friend, I will tell you, this is broken. So I said, okay, so I'll go see Dr. Weiss. I saw Dr. Weiss and he took an x-ray of my hand and he says, look at that right there. That is a beautiful, beautiful fracture. And I was like, how bad is it? He says, well, it's clean break. So that's good. So, but 6 more weeks of healing. So I had to
wanted to be cocky about those rehearsals.
I wanted to I just wanted to go in the show because it was so long rehearsal period. I was ready to go. And so, yeah, I broke my hand and my opening was delayed by 6-7 weeks. And then I finally got in the show and everything was fine. And it was great. And it was a lot of fun. I stayed there for about 2.5 years. And
was it that long?
Yeah, as long. It's like the longest run I've ever done.
Yeah.
And after 2 years, they asked me if I could stay. And I said, I'll stay for 6 months. And then they said, okay. So, and then they announced they were closing and they said, do you want to stay for the rest of the run? I said, no, I got to go. And they said, because I wasn't having fun and I was starting to have a lot of, not anxiety, but resentment. And because I wasn't enjoying myself anymore.
Is it keeping you from other things or is it resentment? Like I could be doing anything else.
I just wasn't happy. I mean, it's just after, like I said before, after a while, it's just, why am I here? Yeah, why am I here? I want to do something else. So they asked me and they said, well, we'll give you more money. And I said, I don't want more money. More money. It's not going to make me happy here. So I left and they hired, and then they closed 6 months later. And my friend Bryce Reines took over and he was terrific. And, but yeah, and that was it.
Well, then you did a show that I think is hysterical that you did it. And I'm going to show a clip that explains how you did it. So let's show this.
I actually called my friend Mark Hobie, the director and artistic director of Paper Mill. I said, you're doing Annie? I'm not doing anything. If you need a Warbucks, call me. And he was like, are you serious? I said, yeah. He says, thought you'd say no. I was going to ask you. I was like, really? It's like, yeah, I'll do it. He says, you're going to have to shave your head. It's like, let's do it.
Christopher Sieber didn't just shave his head for the role of Daddy Warbucks. He had the kids in the show do it. That is until Beth Level stepped in to show him how it's done.
This is what Beth Level did to me today.
Scared. But then once we started, like at first I was like a little bit timid, but then it was actually fun. As I did it, it was so amazing and it was so fun.
And also shout out to Beth Level. She was so good at shaving his hair, and I was like,
how do you do that?
So again, you're asking people, look, you need somebody? I'm in.
Yeah, sometimes if you never ask, the answer is always no.
Yep. So was it a role that you coveted, or did you just think, boy, this would be fun?
I had become that age where I can do it. So I thought, let's do it. And it's a great part. It's really great. I mean, yes, it's an old fabulous musical that people just love. And what could be better during the holidays? I had a blast doing it. I had a great time. And Mark, the director, was so great letting me be quirky and weird. And I'm not such a stuffed shirt Warbucks. I was, I thought I was a goofy Warbucks, a stern taskmaster, but doesn't know what to do with this child, and how to react when things go wrong, because he's always in control of everything. And when you throw a child at you, your world changes. And so Mark was allowed me to do a lot of that. And plus playing with Beth, one of my best friends. And I the thing is, when you know someone so well, their bag of tricks, and she has a sleigh full of tricks, a
satchel.
Yes. She has a wooden wagon filled of tricks, and I've known her for so long that I know all of them. But she would come on, and our only scene in Act 2, she would come on with this whistle and this drum and this whole crazy thing, and she would try to get me, and I would just stare at her, and drove her insane because I wouldn't break, because she was absolutely out of her mind. But I knew all her tricks, even doing the little, she does this little face, and it's just, I mean, we had a great time. We had a great time. And then
you were able very shortly thereafter to go into the prom.
Well, we were kind of doing all of that at the same time.
Oh,
we were doing workshops and readings of the prom during, let's see, I think it was so we did a reading during Annie, and then we went to Paper Mill, did the show, and then after Annie closed, we started on the final workshop of the prom right after, and I still had my shaved head. So we're at New 42. New 42 was just like this stubble growing back out of my hair. My hair started growing back, and but yeah, we went back, and it was our last workshop at New 42, and then there we were. And then I think about a year later.
There you are.
Yeah, I think about a year later, we were on Broadway. Yeah, it was a year later because we thought we were going on to Broadway, but we didn't. So, but yeah, it was a good.
And what was the prom like? So now I'm going to just tell people now, I did not see the prom. I did, however, see it last night, and let's just say there is a way to see it with Christopher Sieber and Beth Level that I'm not at liberty to say, but it can be seen.
Did you just get? Oh, you saw. I saw. I think I know which one you have.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
but it was great to see. I was just so upset I never got to see it.
It's such a good show. It was so funny, and it was so heartfelt, and
so hysterically funny. The lyrics and the lines are so clever.
Just like Spamalot, though, it was such a tight group of people, and also the creatives and us, the cast. Angie, Brooks, Beth, and myself have been friends for at least 30 years. And the creative team as well, I've known forever. And they wrote these parts with us in mind, and then they let us collaborate.
Were you together through all the workshops?
We were the only people that ever played these parts. Yeah.
See, that's great.
Yeah.
That never happened.
Since we know each other and we were basically playing ourselves, it was like us hanging out in a dressing room and putting on a show. It was hilarious. And it was.
Is there anything better than that?
No, it was the easiest, but it was hard work. But it was called, Beth says it best, it was like the easiest hard work ever. And it was just joy. And seeing the message that came across for so many people, especially with the young gay kids, like, I was one of them, you were one of them.
Yeah.
And being able to see themselves represented on a stage and in such a joyous way and celebratory way. And then after the show, we'd go out and sign autographs at the stage door, and you'd see kids just shaking and crying or just like, oh my God. And I gave a lot of hugs, but there was also one kid in particular, he's probably like 16-year-old kid. And he said, he said, come here. And he says, yeah, what's up? He said, I'm gay, but my mom doesn't know, and she's right behind me. It's like, okay.
But he wanted that moment.
Your secret's safe with me. Yeah. But hopefully the show will change her mind, or if you're afraid. But I think,
well, his mother was going to the show, so that's got to say something.
I mean, we did change a lot of lives. I mean, there was a lot of people who came to see the show, and there weren't really any enemies in the part. There were just kind of differences of opinion, and we kind of changed minds. It's really, I loved it. It was so sad. So sad that it closed. We thought it was going to be around a lot longer. I'm so sad that we didn't win Tony
which is
Awards.
why I didn't make it. I know.
We should have won Tony Awards, is what we should have. But
well, exactly. And I think that you probably would still be open had you. I mean, that's what people I think don't realize is that, a lot of, like movies and televisions, awards are nice, but they're after the fact.
Right.
Tony Awards keep a show going. They're actually very valuable.
Yeah.
Can you tell people who your character was in Grey's Anatomy? Who your character played in Grey's? Was it Grey's Anatomy?
No, it wasn't Grey's Anatomy.
What was it?
I was trying to think. You gave me a Grey's Anatomy. I was like, what?
Oh, I thought it was Grey's Anatomy.
No, it wasn't.
No, but what was it that he played? Dr. Julio Rodriguez?
Oh, yes. Okay. I thought you were talking
his character.
Oh, you're talking Trent Oliver's character. Yes, Dr. Julio Rodriguez, a heart surgeon with a growing cocaine problem, right? Cocaine problem, affecting both his life and his career. And it's just, I can't, it's like when you move on from a show too, all the lines just kind of disappear. Yeah. They just kind of fade.
Except for Chicago.
You need the set, you need the costume, and that comes right back. But that was, Trent, my character Trent was kind of based a little on me and a couple of other people I won't mention, but he's a former member of Actors Equity. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I was talking to Bob and Chad with, the book writers, I said, something happened. What is it? There was something about Trent that it was always Brooks and Beth's show. It was always their show. And Angie and I were supporting, and I no problem with that. But Angie had her thing as to why it was Chicago. She had her thing. Brooks had his thing. He'd never gone to the prom. And Beth needed to find her way to be a good person again. But Trent just kind of like, meh. And I said, we need something for Trent to give him his thing. And the one thing that he's a former member of Actors Equity, something happened. And originally I had suggested so many things, and there was one where I threw up on Patti LuPone live at the Tony Awards when she received her Tony Award, and I've been blackballed from Actors Equity. There was another time when I did an all-male, a one-man version of Little Women, and that didn't work. But then we came up with always talking about Juilliard. And because he's so proud he went to Juilliard, and he never shuts up about it. He says, what, Juilliard, they taught me, always do this, but at Juilliard they taught me, and always it drives people crazy. And but he didn't have his purpose, and then at the end, his purpose is he's going to be a theater teacher, and in high school,
this will be my Juilliard.
Yeah, this will be my Juilliard, and but you see Trent, and he's a waiter at the opening night party of their opening night show, and he's a waiter, and he's cast as Jesus in the non-equity tour of Godspell, of Bus and Truck of Godspell. So things aren't going really well for Trent at this time, and so everybody gets on the bus, the tour bus with the Godspell kids. And we go to Indiana, and Angie has a great line. It's like, oh my God, if I have to hear day by day one more time, I was going to kill them all one by one.
What is it? There's something that he says at the beginning when he meets her at the party, and what had he done with her? Your character had been in a show with her.
We had done 5 Broadway shows together. They were never she doesn't remember any of Trent's being in them. We did 5 shows together. One was called 2 on a Spoon that never made it. And then That's Not My Buggy was another show that we came up with. There's what was the other thing? Oh, the other Two on a Spoon with a very young Dick Cheney. That's that's the one. That's the one I came up with. So, but yeah, it was
and you
cool.
also got to play the cowbell and the tambourine.
Mean cowbell.
I just kept saying he's living that cowbell.
Hey,
more cowbell.
Well, the music department started giving me like the rhythms, and I was like, why is it so hard for you to understand that Trent is not talented? He shouldn't be good on the cowbell. If anything, he should suck. He's got to suck. And they were like, oh, okay, but they kept it because they were so musically. I was like, no, you have to let me like just bang it, like banging random.
And you were banging.
And then, but Casey Nicola, our director choreographer, had us. We called ourselves the Olds. We were older because everybody else was 18 to 20 years old in the ensemble because they played high school kids. But we called ourselves the Olds, and they are dancers, hip hop dancers, and they were doing hip hop moves, and it's incredible dancing. And we had to learn. There I am doing "Love Thy Neighbor" by a big number, and we had to learn all this stuff. And I don't dance like that. I mean, I can waltz and I can polka and I can do movement, but
can you polka?
Oh God, watch me polka. And we had remedial dance class
to learn the hip hop move.
And we gave everything a step, like open the shower, step right in, put your socks on, wipe your pussy, chop the shower, wave to the people, fire the Olds now. We named all the steps because that's the only way we did. But once you get it, it's there. But it took us months to learn it.
Before we get to today, I did skip a show inadvertently.
Oh,
Shrek. How could I have skipped Shrek?
That's
Tony nominee. Is that Tony
so
nominee?
That's Tony nominee 2.
Tony nominee 2. There you are, on your knees again. Christopher Sieber. How did you survive that?
Barely.
Yeah.
I still have residual pain in my hips and stuff like that because that hurt a lot. But my knees were fine. It was my shoulders, my neck. The rest of my body was a wreck. I mean, I was in physical therapy 3 times a week, and it was comedy hurts sometimes, but
how long did you stay in that show?
We closed about a year and 2 weeks after we opened, and that was okay with me. But we filmed it too, so it's on Netflix, and you can watch it. Shrek the musical on Netflix, and I think I get a nickel every time someone watches it. So
you're not getting that gumbo money, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm getting the gumbo money. No.
And then of course, just before this pandemic,
there we are. Look at that cast. Look at that
Company.
Cast.
No, it's a hell of a cast.
Oh my God.
A lot of talent, a lot of abs.
Unbelievable. You know what the thing is too, is like working with adults. I mean,
well, that's true.
Everybody was so on the ball. I mean, yes, I've worked with other people who are but everybody was so on the ball with this thing, and it was so incredible. And Patti was just remarkable.
And it's Katrina Lenk. Right?
Katrina Lenk is just, and she's so great. I mean, she had
everyone said she's
so great. She's so beautiful. Everything about it she's so funny. A lot of people don't realize that she is hilarious, and Patti, of course, hilarious or dramatic. Patti is just incredible. And I got to tell Patti a story when we were in rehearsal because she was off filming Hollywood for Netflix while we were rehearsing.
She's very busy.
She was very busy, but she would fly back on the weekends and work with us for a while. But I said, LuPone, I have to tell you something. She says, what? I got to tell you right at the next break. She said, tell me now. I said, no, I can't tell you because we're rehearsing. And so back in 1994, when she came back after Sunset Boulevard fired her, she was coming back to a show called Pal Joey at Encores. And it was her first comeback from New York after this humiliating thing that happened with Sunset Boulevard. So she was playing she sang, I think it was Vera, and she sang Wild Again, Beguiled Again. And her entrance, she said she requested a boy to have on her arm, or she was on the arm of some handsome man.
Yeah.
And I told her, remember, after all of this, after all of the humiliation with Sunset Boulevard and all of that, and you were so terrified, and you were terrified to come out, and when you finally did come out in front of that audience at Encores at the City Center, the audience went crazy for 5 minutes and stood up and wouldn't stop cheering, and it was embarrassing almost. She said, yeah. I said, I didn't know what to do. And she said, what? I didn't know what to do, whether to hold on to you or walk off stage. And she said, that was you. Oh my God, that was you. And I said, yeah. And she said, oh my gosh. She gave me a big hug. She said, oh my God, it was the best thing. And thank you for being there for me.
And it is on CD. People can get Now Joey.
The funny thing is Billy, that is all I did. I mean, I am listed on that CD, but I am nowhere on it whatsoever. I am on it, but I'm not in it. I don't sing a note. That was my only job, is to walk Patti LuPone out on stage.
It's a look. If you screw that up, the whole show's over. So, but what do you think about when we look at like this picture of the cast of Company in LA?
Oh, wow.
And then this. I mean, what a journey you have been on.
Yeah, I'm not, that you can't compare those casts. I mean,
no, you really can't.
I mean, I think the only comparison I could make is that on Encores we had no time to rehearse whatsoever, and
no insurance.
And no insurance, yes, yeah. But also in New York, we had such great in-depth rehearsal moments with Marion Elliott, our director. So many great
scene work.
The scene work was so just amazing, and she said right from the beginning, this is our production. This is not the London production. This is our production.
Oh, that's
so
great.
You guys are going to do what you do. I'm just going to guide you with ideas and stuff. And she did. And she was always a cheerleader. She was always full of energy. She was always positive, always kind. It was just amazing. And what she got out of people.
And Patty's the only carryover, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it was just terrific. I mean, we worked so hard on it, and when we finally got it in front of the audience was going crazy. I mean, it was nuts. I mean, Marion Elliott is like the female Mike Nichols. I mean, she really is that great. And and our producer Chris Hart was just whatever, he was tell us everything right up front. Never kept anything from anybody.
Which is great. And I know from you and from Patti that you left. You didn't know when you'd be coming back.
No, our
you
stuff
got
is
to
still
go
there.
back in. Yeah, you got to go back in once if like you needed anything, and it's just sitting there waiting for you to come back.
I went back 2.5 months after we stopped, and I went in. Everything is exactly where we left it.
How eerie is that?
It's so eerie. It's like Night of the Comet. Like the comet came by and just took everybody except you. And
like if the world disintegrates, some beings will come millions of years later and say, what is this set of Company?
We should research this and do it for Narklar.
Put on a show.
Put it on for Master Narklar.
So I can't leave without mentioning Kevin.
Oh,
we talked about him previously, but I think this might have been at the It's All Relative time when you were doing all those appearances that you had to.
Yeah, that was the Human Rights Campaign thing in Los Angeles at right near and on Fox. What was that? Century City something hotel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was our last. I think last day actually in Los Angeles. We flew home the next day, but yeah, that was there. And yeah, we met during Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. And
I didn't know.
Yeah, we've been together ever since. We got married in 2011, and
he was an actor.
He was an actor, chef. And now he's a chef. He works for Wendy Williams, and he does all the food styling. And he's actually. I think he's doing that right now in the kitchen right now.
And he's also appeared with you naked.
Yeah, there we are. That was Batman and Robin. That's our dear friend Frank Conway right in the middle there.
Oh no, Frank was on the island, so he's not in your next room. But
right. Frank Conway is one of our best friends, and he's a lot of trouble.
Yes, well. And we can show the still from Batman and Robin.
That was the first year that they that Bears kind of really pushed the envelope as far as we're really going far. Yeah.
And even this year with the digital event, it's raised a ton of money for Broadway.
Yeah, it was very successful. It was
and
great.
none of us knew. We all just were talking to Jerry.
Yeah.
And we all, we did a special here and we did a bunch of things online.
Yeah.
And it raised a ton of money.
A ton of money.
Everyone has to be really proud.
Actually, one of the prizes for the Strip-a-thon was my guest house, our guest house on the island. So my good friend, actually, Josh Cotham, won my guest house for 4 days. So
did he get to sleep with Frank?
No,
because Frank was in there usually a lot.
Oh yeah, but he's not. No, this is going to be a designated weekend for him. Right. designated for Josh, but he can bring up to, I think, 8 people. And I said, come on out. Yeah, come enjoy yourself.
And if you want no water, you can go now.
Yeah.
So we didn't show the rest of the headshots, but let's show. So there's a headshot.
Oh, that was from It's All Relative.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I love this. I remember this hair. This was cute hair. Did you enjoy being blonde?
That was during
like that?
That was during Into the Woods, because I wore a wig the entire time, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter what hair color I had, because I wore a wig in Into the Woods the entire time. So I just said, let's throw a box up in there.
I loved it. I thought it was really cute. We didn't talk about Into the Woods, but that was a great show.
That was great.
Wasn't you were at the Music Center in LA, right? The Amundsen, yes.
Yes.
Great cast, great production.
Fantastic. Yeah.
People, if you want to know about Christopher Sieber's mishaps, which we only mentioned the pommel horse, but there is a blood incident.
Oh, there's many.
But go online. There's lots of comments where he talks about stories. I tried to not have you repeat a lot of the stories I already knew. People can get new stories here. There you are, Christopher Sieber.
Ben Strothman took that picture.
Ben. And then the last one.
Oh, that's Joe and Marcus.
And of course, we have to use that in this Christopher Sieber Special
you
next
have to come
Thursday.
See it. You guys are gonna. It's 2 days after the
2
election.
days after the election, you're gonna want to laugh.
You're all gonna want to laugh and forget things for about almost 90 minutes. So.
Oh God!
Yeah, go to events.broadwayworld.com and buy a ticket. It's $20. And you'll have
he'll be singing out his heart. He's very dreamy, very dashing. I love that picture. I don't know who took that picture.
I have no idea who. That was during an outdoor event in Bryant Park. With,
somebody should
Tom
get
Wolfpack.
the Nobel Peace Prize for photography for that.
That's good.
That's a great picture. Go to events.broadwayworld.com.
Please do,
Christopher. Look. There's nothing. I never have to talk to you again. I've discussed everything exhaustively.
And we've had technical problems, but we came
and you came back, Ed Asner. This is how it's done. Ed's 91. You know, at 91, I'm not going to be so happy either. Christopher, how are you doing during the pandemic? You okay?
I'm fine. I mean, like everybody, I've gained weight, and I'm trying to stay active and doing stuff. It's just I'm doing a lot of outdoor work, we're raking leaves and blowing leaves, and was helping neighbors with projects like building a dock and building a shed. And yeah, I did that. That was good fun. I organized my basement yesterday. That was fun. Wow. But I'm doing a lot of these, with friends and Zooms and
this is what we do.
Yeah, I'm teaching some classes, which are
you
fun. Yeah, but
do you
not my
like
own.
Working with the kids?
I do, and it's hard on Zoom because you really want to be in the room, but we're doing the best we can with what we got. So, but yeah, it's to be able to work with kids is always fun. And because it's the thing where you explain what it is, because I think a lot of the times kids overthink things. I think a lot of actors do that too, overthink. And most of the time what you're saying is enough. And I always, they start up here, and I kind of bring them back down to earth, and I show them in a way how simple but also intricate a scene can be, but also the moment when they go click and they get it, and you're like, oh, my baby got it, my baby. And it's so terrific. It's really rewarding. It's really fun. I like it.
Is there a dream role that you feel like you're coming into the age that I've got my eye on?
Well, it might be too late, but Harold Hill.
Great role for you.
Yeah, but I think I think Hugh Jackman is going to just take it away.
It may keep running. They may need somebody.
Who knows?
And that Neil Patrick Harris may be busy.
Yeah, that's true.
That's your competition.
Yes, I know.
Both of you married to chefs. What's going on?
I don't know. I think, Kevin was a chef first, and then David was a chef second.
Yeah,
and David was telling me, I said, where did Kevin go? And I said, he went to the French Culinary Institute in Soho. And he says, oh, I'm going to Cordon Bleu. I'm like,
yeah,
how nice for you.
Is there a role aside from Harold Hill that you said, I wish I got to that, but I really never made it?
No,
never came your way.
No, not really. I've always, the thing is, I like doing, of course, what I do, but I anything new to me is great. I like, number one, creating things. I like being the guy who made that thing happen and gave that character the essence and the life that it has. I love that.
Yeah.
And anything new. And as also when someone trusts me enough to give me a character that they wrote that they really haven't tried on anybody yet, and they trust me enough to just run a little with it and see where it goes. And that's the best. I love new things. I love, because you never know.
And the fun of creating out of nothing didn't exist.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And especially if they're on the Prom, where they were so collaborative with us and we were with them, it was, nothing was a bad idea until it was.
What are you thinking of the Prom film? Any thoughts?
Good times.
Good times. Okay, great. That's all we need to know. Again, Christopher Sieber, the Christopher Sieber Special, Thursday, November 5th. That is a week from this Thursday, 2 days after the election. Before you slit your wrists, go watch Christopher Sieber, and you might rethink that.
It's you'll need a drink. But have fun.
That would be great. That would be great. Have drinks while you're watching Christopher Sieber.
Yeah.
Christopher, thank you for playing.
Thanks,
thank you for being so, I don't know, whatever we are. We're just hanging in there. We're troopers.
Hanging in. All right, buddy.
Take care. Give my love to Kevin, please.
I will.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, boo. Bye-bye.
Hi, Christopher. All right, guys. Thank you for watching Billy Masters Live. Do not forget we have Gilles Marini Thursday, and let's see if he can handle all the technology. Gilles, I don't know. Who knows if he's as resilient as that Christopher Sieber. But anyway, we will be here on Thursday. We're done. We're Billy Masters. Thank you for watching Billy Masters Live. And just remember, what is it that we're supposed to remember? Oh my God. Kenny is sitting there saying, what is it we're going to know? What I wanted to say is Billy Masters Live, where the stars play by day. That's my new catchphrase, where the stars play by day. But what our regular catchphrase is, Billy Masters Live. And just remember, and I think we proved it here today, if we're here, we're live. Take care. Bye, guys.